The inputs for development of the project charter include the statement of work, business case, contracts, enterprise environmental factors, and organizational process assets. The statement of work is a document that defines a potential contractual relationship where project deliverables will be developed for a price. The statement of work provides line item details of the work to be performed, the manner by which the work will be performed, required resources, the location of resources, and the costs associated with delivering the project work. The sponsor can provide the statement of work for internal projects. For external projects, the customer can provide the statement of work as part of a request for bid, request for information, request for proposal, or as part of a contract. The business case identifies the problem the project will address and is often used as justification to fund a project. It also provides details regarding the relevance of the project and justification for funding. Typically, a cost-benefit analysis is incorporated into a business case to clearly illustrate the project's benefit. It is often a narrative of the issue that creates the requirement for the project. The business case is delivered to the project team by the project sponsor. While the sponsor may deliver the business case, business analysts typically write up the business case to ensure all aspects of the requirements are in place. Business cases are typically the product of market demand, organizational need, consumer requirements, and/or other factors. Let's look at examples of each of these. Market demand may be in the form of competitive analysis that supports justification for the product. Organizational need may be a software upgrade that provides new feature functionality. A consumer requirement could be customer feedback that details product enhancements. And a technology advancement may be a smaller, cheaper, faster product by a competitor. Legal or regulatory requirements may include audit results or government regulations. Ecological impacts may be corporate strategy requirements for green technology. Finally, social requirements such as rebuilding an infrastructure after a catastrophic event can also result in a business case. Contracts are agreements between two or more parties that specify the type of work that will be performed and use statements of work that detail the work to be performed. Contracts, or more broadly agreements, are the term we should use because internal agreements may not have formal legal contractual format, and even many agreements involving parties outside the project organization may not be classified as agreements rather than contracts. Nevertheless, they are considered an input if the project activity is being provided by a third party or external vendor. There are 4 different types of contracts the project manager should be aware of. Fixed price with adjustments, cost plus and time and materials. In a fixed price contract, the price of the deliverable does not change regardless of the activities that take place during the contract delivery timeframe. This contract typically favors the buyer. In a fixed price with adjustments contract, a fixed price is set, but cost adjustments may be made upon the completion of the project phase or specific event. This contract can benefit both the client and the contractor. A stable price is agreed upon, but the budget is open for adjustments, either increases or decreases based on conditions that change during the project, such as inflation or the price of materials. A cost-plus contract incorporates a total cost and an incentive if the vendor meets defined goals. With this type of contract, both parties are accountable for the project completion and funding. In a time and materials contract, unit rates are set for labor and materials with no fixed total budget. The client may require a threshold or maximum amount where the vendor would be required to advise the client on project spending as it reaches budget limitations. Enterprise environmental factors are variables that are part of most planning processes. These factors can potentially impact the project and should be considered when creating the project charter. Documents related to enterprise environmental factors may originate from within the organization from an external organization participating in the project, or from both. Enterprise environmental factors include organizational structure, industry standards, existing human resources, marketplace conditions, stakeholders' ability to tolerate risk, political activities, and organization communication processes. Organizational process assets are process-related assets owned and governed by a business. Most large-scale firms maintain a process assets library that acts as a repository for documented processes. The process assets library typically has its own processes to ensure the documentation maintained within it is reviewed and refreshed periodically. The process assets library maintains organizational standards for consistency so that activities performed within the firm are documented using a template, or predefined documentation is used that provides details and creates records that become auditable artifacts. Templates such as those used to drive project activities and historical information, like lessons learned, are also components of organizational process assets. Let's take a look at some examples of organizational process assets. Standard policies and procedures are corporate policies such as safety, ethics, project management, project lifecycle, quality, audit, and any other firm-wide standard. Guidelines are instructions, proposals, evaluation, and performance measurements. Templates are project templates such as the work breakdown structure, the network diagrams, and contract templates. Communication requirements are types of communications, frequency of communications, and methods of communications. Guidelines for closing a project include post-implementation reviews, evaluations, validations, and sign-off processes. Financial controls involve account codes, time reporting, expenditure reviews, and audits. Risks and issue defect management include risk assessments, impact statements, and risk matrices. Change control processes ensure that change to the project are processes driven as compared to ad hoc activities. The project sponsor typically delivers documents for consideration in the project charter. The documents are typically the statement of work, contracts that may already exist in regard to the product of the project, and business case details in support of the project. Additionally, organizational process assets and enterprise environmental factors are incorporated into the project charter and delivered by respective stakeholders.